after nearly a month of daily attempts to arrest Pastor Apollo Quiboloy and his cohorts inside the KOGC compound, which is 30-hectare property in Davao City, on September 8, 2024, he was arrested by the PNP. After various dramas have been witnessed by the public in relation to this arrest, and a number of victims of Quiboloy have slowly surfaced, approached us, and has given significant information about the illegal activities of said personality committed repeatedly over the years. With the painstaking efforts made by the law enforcement agencies, significant revelations were made to our investigators which are relevant to the prosecution of Quiboloy and his illegal activities, particularly in the highly technical scheme qualified trafficking in persons committed by him and his cohorts. These reports were voluntarily offered by the victims to the PNP with high hopes that justice will be served to other victims who were lured by Quiboloy and his victimization. The revelations, which likewise appear to be consistent and based on facts, led to our investigation on the so-called angels of death, whom Quiboloy exploited to infuse fear among his victims. As we speak, the PNP, with the constant collaboration with different units, are working together to complete the picture of the dynamics of Quiboloy's illegal activities perpetrated over the years. Today, we will also be hearing corroborative statements from one of the victims whose youth have been robbed because of his illegal scheme. With our goal to help this committee identify loopholes and room for improvements for the Republic Act 10364 or the expanded anti-trafficking law and other related laws, it is likewise our end goal to build up airtight cases that could lead to the successful prosecution of cases against him and cohorts. Today, Madam Chair, we are ready to answer questions to help this committee craft legislations as may be necessary. But before that, may I show you some of these slides, whom I know is pertinent to the topic at bar. Next slide, please. The kingdom of Jesus Christ was founded, yes. I think ito yung tanong kanina na next po, next na. Next slide. Thank you. Kanina, Pastor Quiboloy was asked kung ilan yung members of the KOGC. And publicly announced that their members have reached about 8 million followers. However, based on the interviews conducted by us, only about less than 8,000 members are believed to be currently active members of the said religious denominations worldwide. And nakita po ninyo sa screen yung breakdown. And these are all, they were all supplied by some of the members akin to the dynamics of KOGC. About 20 countries plus one, the Philippines, about 21 countries ang nailista ho namin dyan. Next slide. Nandyan ho yung mga numero. Next slide. Ito yung simplified projection of the tip scheme of Pastor Quiboloy. First on the recruitment and then the grooming. Doon sa grooming, there will be separation kung sino ang prospect nila na maging subject of the sexual exploitation. Doon naman, hindi mag-qualify, doon sa standard, pupunta sa ordinary miracle worker for the forced labor eventually. Next slide. Kanina, we were talking about the difference between the lifestyle of the pastoral and members of the simple workers. Next slide.
Just please return to one of the...
Yes, General Torre.
If baka makalimutan na ni Colonel Marantan. This room is the bedroom of Mr. Quiboloy in the Bible school. The Bible school, and there is a bedroom something like that. Looks something like that. With the twin, the lower right corner is the twin tub jacuzzi. Jacuzzi for 2 persons. Thank you.
And taken from the narrative of the pastorals, this is where the sexual exploitation oftentimes is being perpetrated. Next slide. Yan po yung difference na sinasabi kanina ng mga kasama natin ng mga resource speakers. Next slide. On sexual exploitation perpetrated by Quiboloy after victim is groomed and ready for sexual exploitation, and victimization continued repeatedly through the years and by generation. Through his preaching with the inner pastorals per narrative of the former pastorals, Quiboloy aimed to acquire 1,000 women and anchored on the biblical story of Solomon, king of Israel, who had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Next slide. Believed to have victimized around 200 women already. Currently, PNP identified 68 female personalities of different ages whom were victimized by Quiboloy's sexual exploitation. Engaged in strict fellowship with the inner pastorals to brainwash them of the purpose of illegal acts. Quiboloy capitalized on the existence of angels of death to sow fear among inner pastorals. Doon pumasok yung matinding compartmentalization na kahit magkakatabi sila, hindi nila alam yung mga nangyari sa kanila. These inner pastorals who subjected themselves on the last rite, which is the performance of sexual activity with the Quiboloy himself. Next slide. Meron ho kaming mga sinundan na mga members of the pastoral. Very fresh pa yung mga experience na, they can narrate it. Mamaya ho, maririnig din ninyo yung narrative ni Elias Marie. Next slide. Yung tatlo hong na-invite natin, invited by the Senate, si Stephanie Ibarra, and 3 of them, pwedeng i-refer ko lang. Si Olive Campo and Jack Holtz ay hindi ho nag-respond sa invitation by the Senate. Pinapakita ho namin sa inyo ang due diligence performed by the members of the DCPO. Pero apparently, they did not heed to the invitation of the Senate, especially Stephanie Ibarra. Next slide. Yan po yung mga efforts. Every day, pumupunta yung mga policemen natin doon sa alam ng mga address nila. Next slide. On the way forward, there's an investigation on the land grabbing issues at Barangay Tamayong, on the house of Quiboloy in Garden of Eden, Barangay Tamayong. Next slide. Oftentimes, naipalabas naman ho yung mga photos na ito. Financial investigation on possible money laundering case committed by Quiboloy and KOJC. Investigation on possible tax evasion committed by KOJC and other proprietary businesses owned by KOJC. Investigation on the legality of operations of schools and other business entitled entities owned by KOJC. And the investigation on the involvement of other foundations utilized by KOJC in the operations. Next slide. And with that, Madam Chair, I think the Elias Marie is ready to narrate her ordeal inside the KOJC compound for 10 years.